minutes long? Do you think the length is appropriate? Do you think that, you know, the lighting is good, and I do have professional lighting in my studio. The shot's kind of tight. Do you need, I know, go through there, you need to move back a little bit, move it up a little bit. I have not added titles to it. This has not been edited at all. This is still the raw footage and just initial input of whether you would sit for 2 minutes and listen to this video if it came over through to you from BombBomb or through some other way. Good sound?
Yeah, if you don't have an aux cord, it's probably not gonna work.
It won't play
Yeah, it
off
won't
your computer?
play, it won't play through that.
No.
Would it play off your computer?
I don't know why it's not.
Looks good already, though.
Are you sure it's not, the volume is not
Yeah, it looks like it's,
100%? Huh.
That's usually if that VGA is hooked up, then it's looking for sound through the aux cord. If you pull
Oh.
that plug out, the sound will probably come back to your computer. That's probably the challenge.
And then plug it back in.
What if we just watch your computer?
Change
It's a
your
smaller
speakers.
group.
Maybe change your speakers.
Yeah, that's a great suggestion, Sherry. That's probably the only what's gonna work.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
put it,
What
just
is
stand
that?
at the table.
Just take-
Yeah,
wash
just take it off
the
there.
laptop.
Yeah, wash off the laptop.
Okay, Kevin, pause, please. Pause.
What's the background, Kevin?
I have one of those 10 by 20 foot professional backdrops
Well, what is
that I have
it?
in there. It's just it's Muslim background.
we need to
Looks
auto
good.
it.
Yes.
Hi, my name's Kevin Foster, and at one time I was a highly paid corporate
That's good.
where I found myself in a federal prison. I learned the hard way that small ethical slips can have devastating consequences, even criminal liability. I was spent 28 days in solitary confinement. It was in the solitude of that cell that I decided that nobody should experience prison life the same way that I did. So today, I speak casually on ethics and compliance issues. Most people do not realize how close they are to their life-changing and dramatic ways. What I've noticed in my speeches is that when the audience leaves and goes back to their post-war big lives, my message somehow gets lost in the haze and confusion of their daily lives, and this is to be expected. So I have developed a series of weekly videos that are short but very impactful that reinforce on a consistent basis the importance of ethics in the workplace and in our personal lives for that matter. This subscription is available to companies using any way they want, whether to put it on their organization's intranet, make it part of a larger ethics and compliance program, or send out a newsletter. Your employees be able to make better ethical decisions when they are aware of the consequences of not doing so.
Okay.
Good. I would move the, you have too much space between your head and the top.
On the top,
Move that
okay?
down a little bit.
Kevin, it looks like you're leaning.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do that when I talk a lot.
You,
So I need to
you
be,
talk to the left.
I need to be
Squared
more,
up.
more square.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, I do that. This has been.
There were some
good for me.
spots where you slowed down a lot, like you were, almost like your teleprompter hadn't caught up with you yet.
Yeah, and that
Was
was
that
not,
what was happening?
That was not, I did one take with the teleprompter and then decided to abandon the teleprompter altogether. And because I was not really feeling it with the teleprompter, I pretty much thought that I knew enough. And so when I slow down when I speak, it's because I'm thinking what I'm going to say next.
Yeah.
So I need to go through and refine that a little
There were only a
bit.
couple of places though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Couple things. One is, I think there was a point where you were saying how businesses could use it. I think at some point, I don't know how people feel about this, but to throw up a couple of bullets to drive the point home I would have liked that. But one thing that you said, at least this is how I heard it, when you said that you were in solitary confinement, that was really, like, I would have really paused on that, because let that sit, sink in.
Right.
But then you said you realized you didn't want other people to experience prison, but you said, but the way it sounded, it was like, you don't want them to
Yeah.
experience it the way you did. Like,
When
it's
they're
okay if they
when
still
they're-
go to prison,
Oh, yeah.
but don't experience it the way I did.
Right.
So I think you have to be
Okay.
a little clearer to tell them that as well. Like, I'm like, wait a minute. I don't think that's what you meant to say.
What's wrong with the
So-
teleprompter? Could you get more natural? Maybe some.
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of practice reading off a teleprompter. Is what I've found.
And it's for some people it doesn't work because you've got two competing
Sterile.
brain patterns, right? I mean,
Yeah.
And you have to have somebody, my experience with the teleprompter as well is that when you have somebody who's working it, who's able to speed it up and slow it down as you're going, it really, which is what the pros do,
Right.
it really helps out, quite a bit. But to set it on a particular speed, it was just really difficult for me.
Just to talk about the teleprompter for a second. I mean, I think they're very useful when I do videos in my office. I think the biggest thing about teleprompters is you cannot let anyone know on the camera that you're actually looking at something. So it's the positioning of where it is, like right behind
Well, I
the
have a
camera.
mirror. I have a
Okay.
mirror. So I'm looking right at the thing,
Perfect.
so you can't see my eyes go
Okay.
back.
Because I have a whiteboard behind my camera in my
Okay.
office, so, but it doesn't have to be flowing, it doesn't have to be like a director's cut or anything, I mean, it just has to be these keywords maybe. But as far as the video goes, phenomenal, I mean, my God, you can't replicate that story. That's gonna be an attention grabber. Probably the biggest thing is, especially since this isn't just for, your pleasure view for social media, this is to try to get people to purchase it. So in a 2-minute video, it has to be flawless. I mean,
Yeah.
because you're able to redo it, you can put stuff on the wall that guided you. So I thought you decrescendoed at the end,
Right,
instead of
right.
picked up, and it's like, your exclamation point. So, but like you said, this is first take raw. But when it's done, I think there's no room, especially in 2 minutes. It literally has to be, borderline perfect. No no pause, no decrescendo, anything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Just started from the very beginning.
It's a great concept, first of all, and just a great story.
I would say, Kevin, the biggest thing for me is you gotta push yourself out of your comfort zone with your energy.
Yeah.
So I'm sort of a naturally, I'm a monotone person
Right.
in conversation. So I have to consciously, when I speak or on video, I have to push myself to a place where I'm uncomfortable. So what I would suggest you do is when you go through it a few times, do it in a way where like you really feel like you're not screaming, but it's like this is really uncomfortable and it feels awkward.
Right.
And then watch that video and compare it to the one that you have.
Yeah.
Because your energy is gonna, for 2 minutes, you have to, with your energy, connect with them and grab them through the screen, and you're really not using your voice as a tool to do that. So that's the biggest thing I would say. The other thing I would say is with the teleprompter, I've had similar struggles. What I did was, I went to just putting bullet points on my prompter. So
Okay.
that way I had the points and I knew what I was gonna talk about, and I could freestyle between the bullet points.
That's
So that
a
was-
really good idea.
That might be helpful for you, so you're not
Yeah.
arrested by the words, but at the
Right.
same time, you still know like what topics you need to talk about next.
Yeah.
So that totally liberated me in that way. And last quick thing is you said something about the video and it's going to be impactful. And I'm always of the persuasion that that's an audience, that's a decision that the audience will make in terms of whether it's impactful or not.
Okay.
So you may just want to, choose a word that goes more toward it's going to solve a problem, or could have you avoid, certain situations. When I've heard you speak or just talk about your story, the thing that I always think about, particularly in those situations, and what grabs people is if I'm the executive looking to hire you, just that a small mistake or a small error that I'm not aware of could cost me money, or it could cost me time in prison and that type of thing. And I think when you pull on that, that's what really gets people, because if I'm sitting in a CEO chair and I know that someone else is making a decision or someone else is doing the smallest thing, and it could take me away from my family just because we weren't aware of it, and that's the thing that's, that would really make me say, I need to talk to this guy. I need to know what those mistakes are. So I think you did that in a roundabout way, but I would be more strategic in terms of tapping into the emotion of, one small mistake that someone else makes could take you away from your family, or, just something like that would be the thing where I would be like, well, let me sign a check to get this guy so that we don't make those same mistakes.
Yeah.
Trying to get in front of the American Association of General Counsels for their December meeting. And those are the people who I would really sell to, because the ethics and compliance people typically report up to the GCs. And the guy who's kind of guiding me through this process said, bring in specific examples. So I've been working on that, and it goes, you take a look at all the CEOs that have put lately over ethics violations. Ford Motor Company, Intel, Volkswagen, Uber, goes on and on and on. CBS on now. It just goes on.
Right.
And when they start seeing all those, then it becomes impactful that, hey, this has happened. It's just maybe not now what's going to happen in our organization.
I think the biggest thing is that you could be in your mind doing everything absolutely right.
Right.
Like your situation, and you can just be totally blindsided by a decision that someone else made, or something that was overlooked, or something like that. And it's like, once it's done, it's like you got to do that time. So
Right.
to me, that grabs the heart more than anything else.
Yeah.
In that situation.
So Kevin, do you intend to have any kind of bullet points or slides in that 2 minutes, or will it just be?
Actually, Tom Nixon and I were actually talking about this, and Tom suggested very, very simple thumbprint title slide, no background, no titles running through it, and no cuts, no editing. Just go ahead and make it absolutely, absolutely perfect for something like that, for a sales type thing.
Right.
His is just let it run. It'll be more natural for you, and it won't look as much like a sales presentation or something that's just out there, but something you're trying to talk to them on a one-on-one basis on.
And Kevin, this is like the promo video. This is the
Yeah,
video.
this is,
Okay.
and then the other videos, I already have a list of videos that I want to do that would be part of it. One of the things I was thinking about, and I actually recorded it on the same day, but in different shirts, different ties, different jackets. One of the things I was thinking about doing was just showing scenes from these other videos, and the voice track will all be the same. So the first part would be my head against that wheat colored background, and then show just 5-10 second clips, as if I already had these already on the shelf in these different, these
That's a
different
cool
outlets.
idea. I like that.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's the video, that's gonna be the video you lead with?
That's going to be the trailer video. This video, so the edit that I'm considering is to switch to clips where I'm just talking in the back, so it appears like these are clips from other videos that are on the shelf right now.
But it's supposed to serve the same function as the one we just saw?
We have the same sound, but rather than having my same head popped in there for that 2 minutes, it's popping in as if it's clips from other videos.
I would think that if I were watching that, every time the video switched, I would be paying attention to what switched, what changed, and I probably would miss what you're saying. But that's just my opinion. Other people have other opinions. You have to decide. But if I see you in, like one suit, one jacket, and you're saying the same content, but then it changes and it keeps switching back and forth, my brain would be just looking at like what's changing, and I probably would miss something that you're saying.
Right.
So how would you feel if he peppered in some videos in different settings. So if it's him, say, giving a speech to a small group or something like that. So it kind of, I'm thinking of it almost like a sizzle reel, right? With an over talk, right? Where you're,
But I guess the thing for me is just that the rate, like it's only 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And you're trying to convince them that they need to buy. And to me, if I'm gonna make that decision, I wanna like look this person in the eye. I wanna know that they got the goods that I need, you know, like what is their energy? It's gonna be more of a decision, kind of like speaking to my gut, as
Yeah.
opposed to trying to impress me with the razzle dazzle of a scissor reel, which is normally 5 to 7 minutes long, you know?
Yeah.
So for me, in that tight 2 minutes, like I wanna look you in your eye and know who you are, know that you have the real experience and that you would be good for us. So that would just be my personal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I think the body language is so critical on this, and that background sucks, just to be honest with you. Like your head, I am like, you look like it's a bail bondsman, and I'm like, dude, really? Because I know how powerful you are, and that I love the suit and the color and all that, but that background, it gotta go. Because it makes you look like, between that careening of your neck like a turtle, and that background, you look like a bail bondsman. Sorry. I mean, I've
maybe
watched-
that's a good thing.
Well, yeah.
Subliminal message.
The alternative is I have a white background and it's too,
But Kevin,
too bright. The other alternative is I do have a green screen.
But
the
take a look
head's
at-
gotta be tight with the green screen.
I've gotten so many, people pitch me all the time
Mm-hmm.
to get them to come in to my hotel to do this, this, and this. There is a moment, is exactly what Des says. When I look at you and I get it, that you're gonna bring it,
Right.
I don't even care in one sense. Like, the only reason I'm listening to you is because there's something that I think you're going to do.
Right.
It is critical in those moments when I'm looking at you on that screen that I get it, that you're going to deliver. That to me says, I'm not really quite sure, and you know, I kind of put this together in my basement because, you know, that doesn't look like somebody who said, I am clear about what I'm gonna say and I'm professional, and because this reeks of professionalism, every single aspect, my body language, my background, all the nuances, and I don't get that when I look at that. I look at it that you're just putting it together to get me to have a video.
Raising your energy level will solve a lot of those.
Yeah.
I think leaning in, I think saying what you said about, you know, like the idea, I think you could make it less. It doesn't have to be 2 minutes. I think it could have been shorter.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for you to lean in and say that there are things that, you know, maybe your other managers are making decisions that could put you in a position where, you know.
It's like one wrong decision can land you in
Yeah.
prison,
Yeah.
and it doesn't have to be yours.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah.
right, exactly.
Right.
So,
Romeo?
yeah.
Yeah.
Remind me if I talk 2 weeks from now that Sandy's not in the room, okay? She's gonna destroy me.
There is nothing but love in this
I
room.
love it. I love the candy. 2 things, because they're really hitting on some huge things, and we're talking like all-out deconstruction right here. One, going back to the setting. I'm in the process right now of filming 4 videos for my 4 buckets: educators, students, yada yada. For example, for the corporate video that I'm going to do, I'm going to be either in a boardroom or I'm going to be in a training room. For educators, I'm going to be in a lecture hall, an empty lecture hall, because it kind of puts them in that place. So I think setting is huge. Undeniably, everything everyone has said, because it gives you credibility. It's like, it's no different than a business card. If this is what he's handing to me, this is the time that he's put, and that becomes a budgetary issue. I don't know your budget for hiring a professional videographer and all that stuff, because I think we can fall into the trap of, well, I have a professional background, I have professional lighting, I have a great camera, but if it's not filmed the right way, so all that to say setting. The second thing is, this is just a thought, is from a sales strategy standpoint, if I'm a decision maker in a corporation, I'm more likely to buy a package than a subscription. So I would rather, if I have a video that says, I have a 5 video series on debunking the 5 myths of compliance or something like that. I'm more apt to do that. It's essentially like you're asking for someone to marry you versus going on a date. So if you have more of a compact, like I have a 5 video offering for like one of my buddies is doing a 52-week video for a corporation, he's selling it for $10K. So I think maybe from a strategy standpoint versus can you buy me for a long time versus I have these 5 videos that talk about this and lay it out specifically.
Okay.
Just
I like that.
That's good.
I like the idea of packaging up your videos, almost like an ebook, right, or a book.
Yeah.
Like when you go and speak to an organization, it's like, get me $10,000, you get me, and you get 52 weeks of my weekly videos,
Right,
right? Or whatever that,
Right.
whatever that looks like.
Yeah,
right.
that seems very sellable.
Yeah,
Okay.
If you do that, make sure you separate your 10K fee from what you charge for the videos.
Oh, yeah.
So make that an upsell.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I like it.
Got a
Excellent.
Very good.
All right, thank you.
Good job.
Good. All right, let's, so we have